I think we can start now. Okay, I will introduce a bit and then okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to Speaking Vietnam with the technical selling session. And today I'm very happy to have Doma team join us to share about Doma Protocol. And hey, Inder, can you please introduce yourself a bit and then you can start your session.
Hey, thank you so much for having me here. My name is Inder. I'm the VP of Product at D3. D3 is, and I'll go into the introductions for the company in a second, but I'm super pleased to be building on Solana and excited to share what we're building today. So I can get started. Uh, like I said, our main goal at D3 is to bring domains on chain. uh, you know, everyone here has used a domain. You use it for visiting websites, you use it for like a portfolio, you use it for like 1,000 different things. There's a lot of utility built into a domain. And we're on a mission on bringing these domains on blockchains because blockchain remains the best way to extract financial utility out of anything, any asset, to be honest, personally. So who we are like, so we're D3. Our team comes from literally decades of experience building, domains, right? So think we have launched hundreds of TLDs, including .xyz, .inc, .link, .app. And, the team has been in the industry kind of being at the forefront of all the challenges we face as the industry, right? So we're intimately aware not only of Web2 challenges and Web3 challenges, but for users, but also like for actual corporate customers who are in this industry. Recently, we closed a $25 million Series A, backed by Paradigm and Coinbase. But unsurprisingly, one of our investors was Namecheap, which is the second largest registrar in the world. And why did they back us, right? They wanted the first, blockchain business for domains. So, a lot of people have come in the industry, gone in the industry. They've tried to do things, but they haven't been able to really tap into the existing market of 364 million plus domains that exist on Web2. So before I get into the tech, my hope here is to kind of walk you all through like, what we're building, how people, end users and developers on Solana can tap into, Doma Protocol. But before I get into that, I just wanted to kind of give like some context, right? So if you think about it, the domain industry started in the 80s, right? So the first domain was registered in 85. But 90s is when it really like picked up, right? That's when it opened up to public. That's when the first website started building up. And then, over the years, the dot-com boom came and people started, realizing this is real estate. You buy the name first, you're the land owner, in that case. And that's when the domain investing began. And then as utility grew, people realized, hey, I'm using my domain for so many things, it's actually even more valuable. At this point, domains are pervasive and extremely valuable. However, they're still trapped. You cannot really use them. Have you ever heard of a startup that actually builds on domains? Probably not. Sure, you can think of registrars, but you can't think of startups using domains like you use, let's say, stocks. But since it's been through this journey, what that means is it's a very digital native asset. Given how much utility exists in domain, it's a very mature market. What that means is today, without Web3, you can actually go buy domain backed yield on Web2. You can buy and sell portfolios of domains, no different from portfolios of stocks or real estate or whatever. So it's a fairly mature market because people know it's making them a lot of money. Second, it's a fully digital asset. There is no custody, physical custody in this case. What that means is that the custody mechanism, i.e., you trusting GoDaddy, you trusting Namecheap, you trusting 100 other registrars, is fairly built into the system, right? It's been battle tested. It's actually fairly decentralized. All the domains have like 3 layers of governance. ICANN being at the top, then registries, then registrars. And they all hold each other accountable for their actions. What that means is no single country, no single company has influence on the entire domain policy. Despite that, since there hasn't been much innovation, there's a lot of motivated demand from Web2. So Web2 users are saying, hey, I want products. They don't care Web2, Web3 products. They're just saying, I want new products. I know I have this asset. It has been my bread and butter. It has been my use case for so many years, but I just don't have anything new to use. So it's a great signal for us as builders that there is demand for innovation. And we always give the example, right? So think chat.com. When I say chat.com, all of us immediately know there is a $ associated with it, right? However, this domain was worth maybe like, I don't know, $4 million in 2019. Then OpenAI came, and one of our investors bought it for $15 million. Then the same investor actually flipped it for nearly $30 million. So you can see the journey of a domain no different from any other meme, that might come in and out, because domains are the OG NFTs, they are the OG memes. But if it's such a good system, why aren't there more developers here, right? So one is limited dev access. So there is no standard way to access the domain. So if you want to build on it, you need to go integrate GoDaddy, then you'll go integrate Namecheap, then you'll go integrate the next registrar. That's the problem. Even Web3 companies that are trying to do it, they're trying to do it in a single, verticalized registrar manner. What that means is you're only able to tap into a small sliver. I can tap into 1 million domains, 500,000 domains. There's no way to tap into the entire 360 plus million domains. Next, it's completely inconsistent with financial systems. It's a financial product. People buy and sell names. People trade names, lease to own, loans against names, and there is absolutely zero overlap with fintech. That's really bad. In addition to that, this is a system that's many, many years old. What's not also captured here is if you're a developer, let's say you're building a startup, that if you were trying to give a loan to Sam Altman for chat.com, how are you going to give it? How are you going to custody chat.com? How are you going to lock up custody? How will GoDaddy, if GoDaddy is the registrar, give you access to chat.com's custody? It's very hard to do. However, through Doma, we can bring that all on chain and on Solana. And that's where the opportunity lies, right? Once it's on chain, what was an illiquid industry of 340 billion, coupled with Web2 and Web3 identity, so think .sol, .com, whatever new extensions that we're going to create, it becomes a big $1 trillion opportunity. Because that's the whole power of Web3. We can take something, make it composable, make it on-chain, and then boom, literally, millions of people are now able to access new financial products. So the whole, protocol in a nutshell is exactly this, right? So think of it as a way. Doma is a bridge that lets registrars. So, the registrar is like Namecheap, where you today go and buy and sell your names. So you enter the protocol by when the registrar allows flexible custody or Web3 custody, in the registrar. So I'm a user, let's say I own d3.com. I will go to my registrar and be like, hey, I want to bring on chain. What that means is it's a two-sided consensus, right? You as a user want to bring it on chain, and the registrar is now offering the bridge to make this asset be representable on chain. No different from, like Circle saying, hey, I have a dollar custodied with me. Here's my one USDC on Solana. It's the exact same system. So when you want to on-ramp your domain onto Web3, you go to your registrar, and then the registrar offers dual custody. They custody your domain in Web2 like they used to, but now you also have a domain on Solana. As soon as you have a domain, this is no longer just a NFT or like a token, right? All of a sudden, the custody is represented on chain, and I'll get into this in a second technically, but that basically opens up the doors to everything else now. Now you can change your DNS on chain. You can rent and lease your DNS on chain. Maybe you wanna, rent your DNS to a company for one subdomain to another company for another subdomain. Maybe you just wanna, sell out like 10% of your domain to people while retaining 90% of the share of the domain. Those agreements can be done through programs natively written on Solana. That was not possible if you didn't have the custody built into the domain on chain. So to do that, we needed to do a few things, right? So we sat down, and most of this came from us talking with Solana Foundation on how we wanted to change SPL name service. So SPL name service is extensively used already, but we were trying to figure out, hey, what can we do to really retrofit SPL name service to allow this to exist, right? So the first biggest problem was ownership synchronization, like I said, right? Now I have my Phantom wallet, and I have a token, let's say token 2022, token in there. I send that token to someone else. They need to get the domain in Web2. So they need to get the domain on GoDaddy's side or Namecheap's side, right? Similarly, the life cycle of this token is not following the Web2 life cycle. For example, today, if you forget to renew your domain, you still have a week. There is no renewal in an NFT. There is no grace period in an NFT. So kind of how do you put this NFT in a state, or fungible token in a state where it kind of makes sense? The next is compliance. The reality is you're not buying a domain. You're always renting it from Namecheap. You're renting it from GoDaddy. How do these pre-agreed upon rules of engagement reflect in the programs that are issuing these tokens? The last reality is cross-chain consistency. Whether we like it or not, it's an open internet. I like it. What that means is, as a user, you have the most choice. Today, you want your domain on Solana. Maybe tomorrow you want it on Ethereum. Maybe the next day you want it on Base. Similarly, GoDaddy, Namecheap, they're all free to choose their tokenization platform. The user is free to choose their tokenization platform. Innovation wins this way. But that also introduces a new can of worms. Hey, how do you now have custody that is coherent with multiple blockchains? So to solve this, like I said, we started looking to see what can we do with SPL name service, and we realized it's not where we needed it to be. And that's where SRS was born, Solana Record Service. We are pretty close to wrapping it up. We are going through the first set of audits right now, and the code. I'll have links to the code at the end of the presentation. So I would love if you guys can go out, check it out, give me feedback on things you want to see. But before I get into that, what is SRS, right? So SRS is basically a replacement for SPL name service. except it offers a few new things, right? So the first thing we do is flexible ownership. So you can now have permission classes and unpermissioned classes in SRS. So if you want to create non-permission tokens that do not need flexible ownership, you can use it like you do today. So you can create your .bonk, .whatever, and keep doing it the way you do it today. However, for permission classes, the records are managed by programs. So the record of ownership through which you can get a T22 token, that class is permissioned if you're using domains. What that means is if your custodian, in this case, let's say Namecheap, is giving you the domain, then they have a say in that domain when it comes to compliance. So they can't like willy-nilly do whatever, but they can bake in compliance into the system. The next is, flexible tokenizations. What does that mean, right? We want you to be able to trade these NFTs on your favorite platforms the way you do it today. So you should be able to go to Magic Eden and buy and sell names, which include Web2 ownership changes. We want to retain the composability. You want to use this NFT to lock it up in a program and issue fractional tokens. You want to issue lease to own. All of that tokenization is built into the SRS tokens because of the way permission classes work. The next thing is kind of silly, but the reality was SPL name service was very opinionated when it came to data. This one allows us to put arbitrary data. So there's still like a data format for TLDs, SLDs, but other than that, all metadata associated with it is fairly flexible. What that means is that you can actually go do whatever you want. So if your use case requires you to append additional data, that's now possible. The last thing is hooks or synchronization. So this is super important since it's permission. Token ownership should affect Web2 and vice versa. So the flexible ownership also needs the synchronization primitives baked into SRS. So this is a little bit of a preview of how SRS is used, right? So the registrars come into Doma and then they submit a transaction. So this way, the registrars like Namecheap can use Doma to send messages back and forth onto all chains that they want to be on. So if they want to be on, let's say, Base and Solana, then they're able to control their domains on either endpoints through a single, Doma record that they manage. The keys of the registrars are put on chain. So what that means is only the registrar can take action on these things. You and I cannot do it. No company can even block Namecheap from their tokenization platform. There is no D3 Doma kind of standing in the way. Namecheap's keys are deployed onto Solana. They are keyed into the programs running on Solana. Anywho, so now we have a cross-chain gateway that uses cross-chain messaging to send messages over. What that means is that there is a gateway program sitting on Solana, listening to both the user and the registrar, kind of sharing their opinion, like, hey, what domains are on Solana? What are people doing on Solana? What they're doing. This proxy Doma program is the permissioned authority. So this is the one class that's using SRS to now mint and manage domains into your wallet. So you're get like a record in your wallet, let's say on Phantom, and then you can use that to create the token. In our case, by default, we give you both the record and the token in your wallet. The next step is kind of like, more like of a deep dive into how we use SRS. So everything in brown is basically coming from SRS, maybe not the user, but everything in blue is coming from Doma. So like I said, the journey starts with the proxy Doma record program and the proxy Doma record PDA, right? So the class PDA is the one that has authority for all the records issued by this, right? So let's say that we want to create a token. So we'll make a CPI call to SRS, and SRS has these, and documented now on records.solana.com. So you go in and you say, hey, I'm going to request a CPI instruction of tokenize or detokenize or transfer. What that happens is, as soon as the CPI call is made, SRS mints the T22 program, into your account. So the user now has this account, but the record PDA still is, obviously in your wallet, but it's also controlled by the permission class, which was the proxy Doma record. What that means is, both of us, both when I say us, the user and the proxy program through the registrar can now control the same PDA that's sitting in your wallet. So that's the beauty of the system. The delegated ownership and the permission classes really help us when it comes to building it, that this is going to be something secure and valuable to the users. So I appreciate the entire Solana team. They have been extremely phenomenal throughout this process. They are very, very keen on getting real domains on Solana. And why is that, right? Because now you open a whole platform of new RWA-backed, innovation on Solana. So as part of that, the SRS library is published. Like I said, we're going through the first set of audits. Now is a great time to give us feedback. I would love, if you're a builder, try out SRS, see how you like it versus SPL name servers. Maybe you have new permissioned programs that you can write. Maybe there are other permission programs that you, or unpermissioned programs you want to write. Would love it. On the Doma side, most of the docs are public. We have some programs that are only for registrars, partly because only registrars can sign these permission slips, if you will. But the use of these EDAs, the tokens, is all on Doma. Before anything, I also want to talk about our Doma Forge program. So, we are big believers in innovation through domains, right? So I keep coming back to, imagine now you can do things like lease to own through programmatic, systems versus creating clunky Web2, APIs or systems that require custody. You can now do wallet mappings, which is going to come for free anyways. Now you can do things like, liquidity, right? Oh, you want to create a new fractional ownership model. You want to sell out, a billion shares in your domains. Then you want these shares to be able to programmatically control DNS, right? Hey, I have 1% stake in chat.com. Maybe I get inder.chat.com, for myself. Those are things that can be now natively built on Solana. It's easy to say that, but we want to show our support to these developers, right? So we are launching Doma Forge. It's been live for maybe 2 months now. We have had a lot of developer support through Doma Forge. We have $1 million in grant pool. Plus, we're also running a hackathon right now. The deadline's fairly close in 2 days. So if you want to participate, I recommend jumping on it as soon as possible. Some of the first cohort of builders is going through Doma Force right now. We would love to have more developers part of the second cohort that will go through. That'll be this hackathon or through Forge. Our goal is to get the most Solana native developers to build on both SRS, on Doma, and on Doma and SRS together as part of this program. I have been talking for a while, but like I said, we are very excited to what we're building and would love to have all the builders on Solana kind of join us in building and using domains as DeFi primitives on Solana. I'll pause there and see if there are any questions or any other things anyone wants to share. Hak, Mark, anything you guys want to add? Any questions from the audience? I see a question.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the difference between Doma and Solana SNS is fairly simple, right? So one, Doma is for real domains. So think like .com, .ai. It will work identical to SNS. So you should be able to map your wallets like in their .com or d3.com, just how you would map in their .sol. The next difference is, we are partnering with Solana Foundation to get the .sol, the real domain that results in your web browser. So in that case, you will be able to bring it on chain, no different from a .com, right? Because it's a real domain. So you'll be able to host a website on ether.sol. You'll be able to do all of the work you do with a .com through .sol. But that transition is going to happen soon. So at some point, I do think .sol will also move to Doma pretty soon once we have the transition done. But Doma is for domains that are live, .com, .ai, .io. I also see another comment about chatbot development. That's a great place to be, by the way. Unrelated to Solana, I'm a big fan of XMTP. XMTP allows you as a user to use your public-private keys, which is basically your wallets, to build a chat system, right? So if you know my public key, you can send me a message to XMPP. The biggest problem, no different from sending money through Solana, is you have to remember those numeric phrases, right? The public keys or the wallet addresses. So we're very excited, and one of the developer tracks is XMTP-based chat. So you can go to ender.com, you look up my wallet or my public key from my domain. So it's no different from when you type in amazon.com, you get an IP address back, right? So we will allow you to type in, ender.com, and then you will be able to go navigate over to the chat. So I think that would be like a super amazing way to kind of discover new people publicly, and all XMTP clients should be able to use that. And if you're a new developer to Solana, the best way to start is to go to solana.com. They have the most comprehensive documentation, tutorials there. There are also a lot of great builders that put out YouTube videos on Solana program structure, account structure. just because it's slightly different from EVM style coding. So if you're a developer, strongly recommend Rust, learning Rust, and then starting your journey on Solana.com. But yeah, what other questions? Yeah, the use cases that you can build with Doma, that's a great question. Uh, so, like I said, the biggest one is, uh, financial applications, right? So I think a platform that lets you programmatically sell off, use of a domain. So think like DNS subdomains, right? So think I have a record in your wallet, and then you can lock up this record and then give people access to DNS. So now you can have, I'm just going to make this up. If Solana.com was part of that thing, you can get like inder.solana.com. What that means is I have the DNS, the CNAME or A record for my subdomain. And then I can buy and sell those, pretty well, right? The next use case is lease to own. So this is, hey, I want to buy a new domain. Can I like make payments, in installments over time, right? While the domain is sitting in a custodial wallet. Uh, the next thing that we're excited about is domain trading. Like I said, what if you could sell off, 1 million shares in a domain? So imagine creating a ticker for chat.com. And now, and this is actually being built right now on the Doma side. Um, how will you kind of bring the sticker to life, if you will? How do people who have the sticker, get access to the domain, right? So that would be the next thing. If you also, by the way, go back to our Doma Forge, there is a list of ideas that we have there. So XMPP is another idea that you can build with Doma. So messaging through Doma, wallet mapping through Doma. You can do things like DeFi applications. So like I said, Magic Eden style trading. You can do like, fungible token creation trading. Um, we are also pretty bullish on chat competitions, or sorry, trading competitions. How can you create a portfolio of domains and then trade the underlying asset to build yield into the token backing those assets? I'm pretty bullish on that because that has seen like the largest product market fit in Web2, and it's a pretty substantial industry. So taking most of the stuff that required you to do a lot of, you know, Web2 custody, legal work, contracts, and bringing it on chain is the best first step because fractional ownership exists in Web2. It is very annoying, but you can make that a lot simpler and a lot easier through blockchains, especially through Solana. Yeah, like I said, do make sure you guys check out doma.xyz/Forge. That has a link to the developer hub. That has not just some of these ideas, but a lot more ideas. But it also has, specific steps to go approach those ideas. So it starts with, like, hey, how do you think about the idea, and then it goes into like, hey, how would you actually make it happen, i.e., like what tools would you need, what docs would you need, and we have put in all the links to the right documentation on both Doma side and like the blockchain side there. thanks for sharing the link. This is what I was talking about.
Yeah. I don't see any question here, so yeah, okay. If you guys have any question, feel free to connect with Doma team and connect with them on Twitter. Okay, can you share your Twitter on your chat so people can connect with you?
Yeah, yeah. My Twitter handle is Inderpreet Singh. I will post it in a private chat. Not sure how I can post it on Twitter. But yeah, you can find us also on Discord. So Solana is it's definitely the most important partner for us right now. We'd love to have you guys on Discord. We have a very active community on Discord. Feel free to follow, Mark, me, or D3 on Twitter or Doma, it's Doma Protocol. What we want is, as we kind of get into the next 2-3 months, we'll be extremely vocal in the community. Like I mentioned, SRS is going to get released next month after the audits are done. All of this is already in DevNet, will graduate into testnet in a pretty big manner, but most of the tooling is live today. Given how core this is to the Solana infrastructure, it's a great time to be part of the first cohort of builders on Solana. I think it buys you a lot of, uh, steering power in the direction of this project in how you can shape, how things happen on Solana. So yeah, next few months are super critical. Timing is like, couldn't be better right now.
Yeah, okay. I think no more questions. So thank you, Inder and Mark, for very informative workshop. And we hope to see you guys again in the future session with Supporting Vietnam. And for the people, thank you everyone for joining us today. And we hope to see you guys next week. Okay,
Thank you so
see
much.
you. Bye
Thanks for
bye,
having
everyone.
us. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah. Bye bye. See you.